Hi there, I'm JC Liebman, and today I'm going to show you a few ways that you can strengthen your legs and your glutes to improve your balance and movements throughout everyday life. So the first way that we can do that is by strengthening the feet. Now, the feet are the foundation of the body, so it's very important to pay attention to them. We'll begin with some Qigong exercises, which involve rolling the foot onto the ground. Want to sort of curl those toes under to begin with. I like to do about 10 in each direction, but it doesn't really matter how many, just as long as you feel nice and even. Not only does this challenge your balance a little bit, but it helps to create some blood flow into the feet, also giving the plantar fascia a little bit of a massage here. From there, I like to flick out my feet, making sure that there's a lot of fluidity within the ankles. I've heard it said that most doctors will say that the ankles are the first place to show age. So with that said, you can begin making circles with your foot, which will help to articulate the ankle. You can do this with a bent knee. Of course, if this challenges your balance too much, you can always extend your arm to a chair or to a wall. Beginning with about 10 on each side, but eventually you might like to go as far as to write the alphabet or sentences with your foot. That will help to change the articulation of the foot, and it will help to increase the dexterity. From here, we'll move on into the hip area, which is the next joint in the body. And so I like to do about 10 of these in each direction. A leg circle. You can start off small. What we really want to do is make sure that the standing leg is stable. So again, extending your arm to the chair if you need to. What we also want to be doing here is engaging the abdominals so that you're nice and stable here, and try not to make big movements out to the side, even to counterbalance. We want your muscles to be doing the counterbalancing rather than your body weight. And so then moving in the opposite direction. This is a really great exercise for strengthening the hip flexors and the glutes. It's also really great for stabilizing the abdominal muscles. As the legs are such heavy things, it takes a lot of power to be able to lift them. And it takes even more power and stability to stay in place while making these movements. Nice. From here, we'll make some movements in circles with the hips. I'm starting off with this Qigong warm-up. Something that I find really helpful in my everyday movements. Again, doing about 10 in each direction. You can connect with the breath. Nice. And then from here, bringing the feet about hips distance apart, we're going to bring the hands to heart center, finding length in the back of the spine. I'll show you from the side as well, so you can know how the alignment goes. So starting off at the feet, we want to spread the toes in all directions, pressing specifically the big toes into the ground as much as possible. To emphasize this, we'll press the big toes into the ground and lift up all the rest of the toes, squeezing the thighs in towards center, internally rotating the thighs, and then seeing if you can flatten the other toes into the ground, perhaps lifting up in the arches while pressing the big toes down, bringing energy up through that bubbling well in between the arches. From here, seeing if you can again internally rotate those thighs, finding a tucking in the tailbone, which will bring a hollowing of the loins. From here, you can draw the navel towards center, allowing the heart to lift, but if your chin lifts up, see if you can align it so that the back of your neck is nice and long and your chin is lightly tucked. If opening your heart changed your rib cage, see if you can draw the ribs together, knitting them together, engaging those upper abdominals. Allowing the shoulders to spread apart in either direction. Melting those shoulders away from the ears, engaging the latissimus dorsi, which are those wing muscles down and away. Spreading a little bit more. Seeing if you can draw the crown of your head towards the sky, again allowing the chin to be lightly tucked and the gaze to be soft. Taking a breath in here and a breath out. On your inhale, reaching the arms wide and up. Perhaps taking a light back bend here. And then bending the knees a little, we're going to forward fold in a swan dive. From here, taking the hands behind your legs and hugging yourself into your thighs. From here, we'll bend the knees even deeper, allowing that head to be heavy, taking the elbows into the hands and gently swishing from side to side like a rag doll. This is considered an inversion, and it's really great for the lymphatic system. It's a wonderful way to get some blood flowing into your head and into the lymph nodes in your underarms and in your chest area. As spoken in the previous video, the lymphatic system is really great for increasing your immunity. From here, releasing the arms long and bending the knees even deeper, and we'll roll up vertebra by vertebra until we come to standing. Taking a big stretch here. Nice. Getting that spine warmed up is really helpful for allowing there to be blood flow throughout the body. Nice. From here, we'll spread the feet a little bit wider, turning the feet out. We'll inhale the arms up, sealing them at heart center and coming into a deep squat. Picking up from the earth, inhaling to rise up, exhaling, hands to heart center. Exhaling to lower, picking up from the earth, spreading to the sky, and drawing to heart center. We'll inhale here, exhale down, inhale to lift, exhale hands to heart center. Nice. And then coming into that horse stance, you can bring your elbows to your thighs or your hands to your thighs. You want to see if you can stick your tail out as much as you can, drawing the navel away from the spine, away from the earth, so drawing the belly inward, navel towards the spine. And so this is a sinking into the thighs here, but we want to keep it active so you're not relying too much on gravity. Let's take 2 more breaths here. On inhale, coming up, and exhaling, hands to heart center. From here, we'll take the arms out to the sides, turning the right foot in and the left foot out. The right foot is about a 45-degree angle. And then taking a bend in that left knee a little bit, we'll inhale to heart open, spreading the wings. Exhale to tip over like a teapot into a triangle pose. So your triangle pose might look like you're holding on your thigh. It might be stabilizing on your shin. Might be going all the way to the ground or hooking your peace fingers onto your big toe. If it's easier for your shoulder, you can always bring your hand to your hip. Eventually, you can straighten that left leg. We want the chin to be tucked. If you're gazing up at your hand, the head should not be heavy, rather engaged with the neck. We'll take 1 more breath here. And then inhaling up. We'll switch the direction of the feet. This time the left foot is inward at a 45-degree angle and the left foot is pointing straight out, taking a nice little bend in that right knee so that we're not overextending. I'll demonstrate this time with the chair if you like. We'll inhale to open the heart and exhale to lean over. If the chair is good for you, you can hold on to that. Otherwise, you can take your hand wherever you find it suitable. Remembering to tuck your tailbone a bit. A light bend in that front knee can help to protect your hamstrings. Tuck in the chin so that the back of the neck is nice and long. And see if you can draw upwards so that you're really stretching into that side body. We'll take another breath here. And then inhaling up. Bringing the hands back to the hips, maybe taking some figure eights with the hips, incorporating that movement into the body. So from here, I would like to demonstrate a balance pose that can be really great for both strengthening and stretching your legs. One thing that can be difficult about stretching in the normal way with standing poses like triangle that we've just done, or more static postures like seated postures which are forward folds, is that because our legs are not engaged, we can often overstretch the muscle, and that can be really painful. We can overstretch, we can strain, we can get tendonitis at some points. And so it's really important that we protect those muscles. The best way to do that is by engaging. So, like if your leg is floppy, it's hard to lift and you have to compensate in other places. If it's engaged, it's easier to lift. But it's hard to know how to engage in these sort of more relaxed postures, say like triangle or forward fold. And so by using a balance pose, we can become more acquainted with how our body engages in order to keep our muscles safe. Because when the muscle is engaged, it's less likely to overstretch. So I shall demonstrate. So the posture that we will begin with is a standing split. And so the way to do that with the chair be to bend your knees, place your hands on the chair or the table. The next thing we're going to do is raise up the right leg. You can begin by raising up your right leg in line with your tail. This is more like a warrior 3. What we want to do is flex the foot so that the toes are drawing towards the front of the body, towards the knee and the hip. And then we want to internally rotate the thigh so that the toe is maybe pointing towards the inner part of the leg rather than the out. So like out would be like so, and in is the opposite. Nice. And then we want to scissor the legs towards center so that you're squeezing towards the midline. And then you want to pulse that heel up so that you really feel your glute engaging. If that feels comfortable for you, you can walk your hands down the chair or even to the ground. The most advanced pose is to take one or both hands to the calf and see if you can balance from there. So if you have been watching, coming into whichever pose suits you for 3 breaths. And coming up slowly, finding your way into center. You might like to stretch your shoulders here. And then we'll switch on to the other side. So grounding your palms into the chair or into the ground. And then shifting the weight now onto the opposite foot and elongating the leg behind you. Finding that flex in the foot as much as possible. Keeping your abdominals engaged at all times. Shoulders away from the ears. Finding a nice flex in that foot and internally rotating that leg so it's not out like first position, but rather it's turning inwards towards the midline. And then squeezing that leg towards the midline so that you can really get that scissoring engagement. If this feels good to you, you can always move your hands down, remembering to pulse up that leg towards the sky so you can really feel it in the glutes. And then if you're with me, you can take 3 breaths in whichever variation suits you. And then stabilizing your hands, perhaps taking a nice shoulder stretch again. Finding your way up to standing. And then again, maybe wiggling it out a little bit, seeing how that feels for you. Wonderful. Thank you for joining me today to stretch for balance. I hope that I have offered a variety of accessible exercises for you. And so it's been a pleasure. And if there's anything, any questions you'd like to ask or any suggestions or anything that you would like to learn in future videos, just let me know in the comments and hit subscribe. Thanks for joining me.